Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like,
what an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around. And I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 272, and we are here with Alex Milstein from Bed News Now. Is High Point the next big mattress market? We'll answer that and any questions that are near and dear to you. Put them in the box there and send them off to us. We'll get your questions answered live today. And without further ado, let me pay the bills very quickly. If you have not bought this book, what are you waiting for? A lot of people are looking for additional ways to get profit, how to get that door to turn. Sell a Million is that book in spades. Sounds like a sales book. It's not. It's really a business and a marketing book. My best review was from my dear friend, Doug Stewart. He said, just take the word mattress and furniture out of the book. It's a great business and a great marketing book. If you want a sales book, I've got a sales book for you. Miles and miles of retail selling greatness. Guys, gals, I combined 43 years of experience of my own. And then I asked myself the question I never should have asked myself. And that is, what's changed? And a lot had changed. And so I reached out to a few of my friends, 10, and they all wrote chapters in this book. So this isn't just my book. This is Scott Vaughn's book, Jeff Giannakovo, Steve Carnes, Mark Klingenberg, Brent Batterman, Chris Tahaney, Justin Trumbo, Mel Opp, Keith Cassinguy, and Randy Thompson, the adjustable bed guru. By the way, there is an offer in Randy Thompson's chapter that is worth 20 times what this book costs. 20 times what that book costs. Brad, thank you. Would highly recommend this book by Brad Carroll in Somerset, Kentucky at Cumberland Furniture Gallery and Mattress. Without a further to-do, let me pay the bills. Good morning, Steve Houck. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to talk about you in about 2 minutes. Steve Houck and Greg Gent do a great job with the Mattress Industry Network group. It's a group 3,200 strong and growing every day. If you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed, this is the group for you. 100% free. It's a Facebook group. I get in there several times a month, a week. Sometimes we feel like we're all alone in this business, especially store owners. You don't know who to talk to, who to turn to. Everybody's in here. Lots of store owners. Some sales pros that work the retail floor are in this group. Lots of manufacturers, reps, lots of VPs of sales. Some owners of manufacturing companies are in here as well. So it's just a great place to network, and it's 100% free. So come on in, say hi, and join the group. You should definitely be in this group. It does a lot of great things for our industry. And if you have a sales pro who does extraordinary work and who has had some great outcomes with their customers, and you want them to be in Chris Tahaney's new book, which is going to be called something like Mattress RSA Stories, just email mattressrsastories@gmail.com with the story. The only thing that Chris asks does not have to be perfect. He will rewrite it for you, send it back to you for your approval, include a picture, and don't get hung up on grammar, spell, and structure. Chris is a great writer. He's a great writer. And this book is designed to elevate the industry. So, any of you store owners that have great success stories, you want to share them, please share them. Any of you RSAs, you got great stories about how your products and your systems and your processes helped a customer achieve a great outcome that improved their life. Let's hear about it. So get those stories into Mattress RSA stories at gmail.com. Chris, thank you for taking on this project. It's an important one. Anybody who's serious about the mattress industry and you want to be the best you can be, join Mattress Retail Toolkit. It is just a great place to be. If you're struggling with working in the business too much and you know you need to pull away and start working on your business, this is probably the single best resource you could ever invest in. I belong to this group because I want to know what's going on. Mike Capuzzi and Jeff Janakovo run this group. It is a great group. There is so much value here. I often joke with Jeff, you should be charging $4.99 a month, and it's under $100 a month. Go to mattressretailertoolkit.com or just hit that QR code and tell them Pete sent you. It's a great group. You should be in it. It will help you be more profitable. It'll help you do more business, but most of all, it'll help you to start have fun again in your business, because this business was always meant to be fun. And when you're struggling, it's not so much fun. But when you're with and in a community that cares and has answers for you, and you don't have to learn everything the hard way, it gets to be a lot of fun again. So start having fun in your business. Join Mattress Retailer Toolkit, and I will see you in there. Anything else, my friend? Nope. Alex, welcome to the show.
Hey, Pete. How's it going?
It's going great, man. So is High Point the next big mattress market, Alex?
Yeah, I think that is a question that is yet to be answered. But there's a lot of movement within the market, and we've been, keeping an eye on it at Betting News Now, and I think it's something interesting that's happening slowly but surely. There are more mattress manufacturers who are showing at this market now. I went and counted right before the show. There are 17 mattress showrooms, or mattress manufacturers rather, who just have, mattress and bedding products. They're not also furniture companies. And in 2022, there were 10. So we've added 7 over the past couple of years. And I think it just makes sense for a lot of them to be there. It's an East Coast market, so it's different than Vegas. It's a little bit closer for some of the clients who are on the East Coast. And it's a very different market than Las Vegas, as I'm sure you know, Pete. It feels different. It's bigger, just spanning the entire city of High Point. The energy is just a little bit different, and so I think whereas a couple of years ago it may not have made sense for betting to be a prominent category at this market, I think it's making more and more sense as the years go on.
Yeah, they almost doubled. So that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I know that BIA, Bed Industries of America, has been shown in the Crown Mark building at 200 East Green Drive for several years that I know about. And they have the entire 4th floor. What else is on the 4th floor is the bar. So
Very important.
Make sure you don't miss happy hour with us. It starts at 3, and I think it goes to 6 or 7 every night. So if you are going to High Point, don't miss Bed Industries of America at the Crown Mark building. They always do a nice job, and there's always great energy in that room. You
Yeah.
know, with
Yeah.
Steve Carnes is the Energizer Bunny, right? He is
really
just,
is.
he's a consummate salesperson, and he's a salesperson. And anybody that, loves the mattress business just loves Steve Carnes. Speaking of that, I
Yeah.
want to give a big shout out to Steve Hauk, who in his group and just posted something. I forget if it was Saturday. Hey, Steve. Good morning, gentlemen. You use that word loosely. I would say that Alex is definitely a gentleman. You're stretching it a bit, extending that to me, my friend. But thank you, Steve. Steve posted something in Mattress Industry Network group that was really. I'm going to oversimplify it, but basically, stop your moaning, bitching, and complaining about what might happen. There's, there's probably going to be foam price increases. There's probably going to be foam allocation to some degree or another. It will affect different companies different ways. But folks, let's stay positive. Let's concentrate on our customers that are coming into our stores, and let's have solid game plans to address any possible hiccups that might occur. But, I agree with Steve. Let's not borrow trouble. Steve made a really good point. When we put ourselves into a negative place and we start to get negative and then everybody starts jumping in on the negativity, let's not do that. Let's be positive. So, Becky Woolman says the best group to be a part of. So many amazing people and so much knowledge. Hi, Pete. Happy belated Easter. Happy Easter to you. I see that that's like a little baby duckling coming out of there, but I can't help but think about smoked deviled eggs, which you got me at Christmas, that you made for me at Christmas. Thank you. Scott Vaughn, the incredible Scott Vaughn, says, I agree with Steve too. Yeah, 100%. It needed to be said. Was not my place to say it, but boy, did I agree with Steve when he said what needed to be said. Nothing good happens from us moaning, bitching, and complaining ever. And it doesn't even matter if you're right. It's still, and there's so much stuff out there right now. And I guess we'll get to that. Anybody that has any questions, we're live, guys. So if there's something on your mind, you have a question about possible foam, allocation, you have questions about possible price increases, ask away. Alex and I will do our best to answer those questions. There's more and more information out there now, more now than there was a week ago, and it's coming to a head very quickly. That I think the direction has been pretty well set. But I want to go back to going from 10 to 17 mattress showrooms. Is there any one of particular note that kind of caught your attention, Alex?
Yeah, I think so. There's two companies that are showing for the first time this coming market, and I guess it's 2 weeks now. And that is Molecule and Symphony Sleep. And I think for brands like that to break into this market is going to be very significant for them. It's a very designer focused market, but there's also a lot of furniture retailers, and that side of the business, I think, is growing very fast. We typically talk about the specialty retailers, and they are very important in their own right. But what's less talked about is how much mattress business these furniture retailers are doing, and how the High Point market is helping that by getting more bedding manufacturers. And so over the past couple of years, Therapeutic came back. They were part of it maybe 20 years ago and left and came back, and they're having a very successful run now. They're over in the atrium, where Diamond is also in the atrium. And yeah, they're finding so one of the most interesting things I think they're finding is that you don't necessarily have to get and pay for an entire showroom to show your products at this market. Nearly every bedding manufacturer that is showing, except for some of the tried and true ones like Bedgear and Shiftman and ones who have really established themselves in that market, but nearly every other one is sharing a showroom with a furniture exhibitor. So I know BIA does that, but then Diamond is sharing it with a bedding frame manufacturer. So we've got, and Heritage Sleep is sharing it with I think FD Home, I think is what it's called. So the trend that these manufacturers are figuring out is that they can invest in these shows in different ways, and they don't have to put all of their eggs in one basket, just to be potentially let down. So I think it's almost an experiment at this point, but it's fun to see it happening and talk to some of these people about their experiences and how different it is from the Vegas market or any other markets that they show at throughout the year. So it's a good business opportunity, I think, as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gordon Hecht. I love Gordon. 20 years ago, Vegas market boomed because it was less costly and more convenient to shop than High Point. Vegas costs have soared, predictably.
Yes.
I put that in there. Sorry for you guys who are listening on audio. But what has the High Point done about transportation and housing? They've done a lot, actually. I'm going to let Alex jump in on that, but I'm going to tell you something. I love the shuttles.
Yes.
The shuttles run up and down constantly, and they're free. Anyone that doesn't take advantage of that shuttle service is really missing the boat. But I'm going to let Alex address it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I can't really speak to the housing because I live 30 minutes from the market, so I don't have to deal with that end of it. But
you want to rent out a room?
Yeah, right. I might. It's a pretty lucrative opportunity.
Yeah.
But the transportation is really, they've done a really good job at making sure that there are shuttles, going, whether it's just from parking lots to the market or whether it's from one building on one side of the city to the other side. The shuttles, they run on time, they're clean, the drivers are nice. What more can you really ask for? And you don't have to pay for parking if you park at the Ocala Mall. They have a shuttle system that goes from there straight to market, drops you off right at the IHFC building. And I would suggest, I would recommend that to anybody because it is quick, it's easy, gives you a little bit of downtime before and after market to settle before you have to get in your car and drive and fight all that traffic. So yeah, I think High Point has done a great job with transportation and making the entire city accessible because, like we were saying before, the market really does span the entire city.
Addressing the housing part, years ago when I had, a big furniture line, I used to rent a 5 or 6 bedroom house. And to me, that was the most fun. I had my group of sales reps there, and I always had room for 1 or 2 retailers that would stay with us, and we would grill almost every night. And it beats waiting in a restaurant, even a really good restaurant, because there's always somebody who's a grill master at the house who's really good at grilling.
Right.
And the nice thing is, there's usually a nice family room with a big screen TV. You can watch sports. You can just kick back and relax. Unlike, in a situation where you're in a restaurant. The other thing, don't sleep on this, Gordon, and any dealer who's listening. Don't sleep on Airbnbs. When Airbnbs first started, they were a great deal. They've gotten more sophisticated recently, but you can still steal an Airbnb if you're finding the hotel costs are um, a little bit too much. So, um, look at renting a house with a group of people. That can be so much fun and make memories for a lifetime. And don't sleep on Airbnb opportunities because they're there. And call the housing market authority because they do a good job of putting people together. Um, so don't sleep on that. Um, is Molecule Mike Uni's company? Is that where Mike went to work?
Yes, he's the VP of sales, I believe. There.
And then Therapeutic are my friends Kyle and Jerry Borgini.
Yes.
Diamond is Sean Pennington. And let me see. Heritage Sleep are my friends from Rome, Georgia, the Beck family. Yes. What great guys, huh?
I know. They are really great.
You know, you gotta love.
Actually, they started. I think it was three markets ago. They started showing in High Point, and each market they have almost doubled their showroom size. So they started with maybe 4 beds, and I think they're going to have probably close to 12 beds this time. It's cool to see a company like that doing well and finding opportunities like High Point.
It's great to see Jordan, really kind of being felt and heard in the industry. He came on board and he was content to let Dad but I think Dad's encouraged him to get a little bit more involved, and I think that's great. My dear friend Rick Lynch is the national sales manager for Dreamstar. They're shown in the Atrium building. So Atrium building is pretty much loaded with some good manufacturers.
Yeah, I know, and I wonder if there is. As this trend plays out, I wonder if there is going to be a central either building or just area of the city that some of these manufacturers flock to. It has seemed like the Atrium has been a pretty open one, for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to see.
So what else do we need to know about High Point and why it might be the next big mattress market?
So I think, kind of the second half of this whole equation of, having this new market with different customers is really taking advantage of designers. It is a tough category for bedding manufacturers to not only get into, but to get right. The product has to be super high quality. It has to have that aesthetic that a designer is going to look at and say, oh, wow, that's not just another white rectangle. I'll give a shout out to Schiffman. I think Schiffman does a really great job with, their high end look, the materials, explaining all of that. And I think that they're starting to see more designer clientele coming in because of that. Interior designers are not going to be a client that every bedding manufacturer or bedding exhibitor is going to be able to claim. But I think that, with the increase in luxury products within our industry, it makes more sense for manufacturers to be targeting designers as clients,
Yeah, and I love what Mark Quinn's doing with Schiffman. I really do. I think that that was great timing for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. It's I mean, he's got away with marketing, and I think that their products couldn't be shown to the fullest without that kind of marketing, The message couldn't be put across unless there was someone who really could tell that story in a meaningful way. Yeah, and Mark's done a very good job with that.
And it's the Schiffman show in High Point. I should know this.
Yeah.
Mark's a friend of mine, and I love him to death, and I
Yeah.
don't know. So go see Mark at Schiffman.
Yes, they have a standalone showroom. I can't remember which street it's on, but it's like 2 blocks from the IHFC building. It's a really great showroom. They've done a really, really nice job making it over and making it their own.
Great.
So
Anybody else of notice that, I'm maybe I'm a furniture retailer, maybe I own a sleep shop, and I'm debating on whether I shop mattresses at High Point. Is there anyone else in the equation that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, I think there are a couple. So Restonic is one of the ones that just started showing at the market. I think it was just in the October market, last market is when they came for the first time. I think everybody knows the Restonic brand, and I think everybody is aware that they're going through a little bit of a transition, figuring out who they are and what they're doing. But the investment in High Point is significant to me because I think it shows that they are really weighing their options and figuring out who their customer is. And High Point's a good place for that because, like we were just talking about, there's a variety of different independent retailers. There's some bigger national retailers. There's interior designers. So it's cool to see these companies coming in and experimenting and really working to figure out what's going to work for them.
Yeah.
And then I guess in that vein as well, Sattva is a very interesting company to kind of keep an eye on. They are the ones who are really having success with interior designers. Their product is labeled as a designer product, and they have really found a way to capture that market. So I think, with their kind of partnership with BIA, I think they have a lot of room to really grow and branch out in the industry.
Yeah, that has been an extremely beneficial partnership for everybody.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It could also be called the making of a powerhouse.
Right.
Yeah, it's a very compelling and interesting story that we should probably do a full episode on some other time. So Steve Hauk says Mark Quinn is one of the most creative and brilliant guys in our industry. I agree, Steve. I couldn't agree more. And he's been a very good friend to me over the years. He was the first guy in our industry that I saw blog. He was with Leggett and Platt when he first started blogging, and he must have gotten permission because that's a big company, and you got to get permission to go use the restroom. So, yeah, Mark is special. He's special. We're lucky we have him. And for a little while there, I was afraid that he was gone, and I'm really glad to see Mark Quinn in doing his thing. He's a very creative guy. We need smart and creative people in our industry, and Mark is just one of those rare guys that we're really blessed to have. Listen, I've gotten some questions here while we were talking. I don't know why they just don't put them in the thing so Chris can pull them up. So do I know what the price increases are going to be? No, I don't. This is, people are starting to announce 8 to 10% price increases on hybrid type products and inner spring products that have some foam in them. All foam products are probably going to go up a little bit more than that. It doesn't seem like anything's happening like this minute in time. So right now it's April 6th. All right. I think that almost everybody is doing April 30th or April 31st, if there is a 31st in April, and May 1st. I'm hearing a lot of May 1st. So it's the first price increase. There potentially is another price increase that has been sent out that will come behind that. The question is, will there be a third, and will there be more? So a lot of people are hypothesizing. We've even heard some, in my opinion, rather irresponsible comments that this is like COVID. It's not like COVID. COVID was different. COVID, our government decided to shut us down. They decided that the mattress industry was not an essential business, and they almost put some of our dealers out of business. What in most states, I'll tell you, all the little guys in Ohio stayed open, and my manufacturer, you know, was Englander at the time, that later, eventually sold to BIA, to Stewart and his sons. But Ed did a great job. He manufactured masks, and he got an exception so that he could continue to operate. And, his family stayed committed to making those masks for a full year after the whole thing had blown over. So it wasn't just like a little racket for them and a way to just keep open. They really truly cared about that little business that they created, because it did a lot of good in their minds. But COVID and this are completely different. Gordon Hecht said that on our Win the Weekend Zoom call on Friday. And I think it was really good to get that out there. Don't borrow trouble. I even heard somebody say, I'm going to drop blah, blah, blah. Don't drop anybody. Listen, don't drop anybody. Why would you walk into this thing and say, well, if they do this and they do that, what if they all do the same thing?
Right, exactly.
Pretty much that's what's going to happen. I mean, guys and gals, let's get serious about this. Mm-hmm. Pretty much we're all going to do the same thing. So if you want to get pissed off and play musical chairs, there's a good chance there's going to be allocation. Wouldn't you be embarrassed telling your grandchildren how you lost your 40 or 50-year-old company because you were a bonehead and you went off half-cocked switching manufacturers because you were angry? Wouldn't that be a story to tell your great-grandchildren? Wouldn't be a good one. I'm going to say this to everybody. Relax, take a deep breath. Please, please, please focus on your customers. If you are financially well-heeled and you have more money in the bank than you know what to do with, buy a little bit of extra inventory at today's prices and do a nice model mix. Understand what your best sellers are. Do it in both dollars and do it in units. And then ask yourself, how is this trending? If there's a tie, get your sales pros that work the retail floor involved. Where's the momentum in your particular store, in your mattress assortment? Buy a little bit extra of that, but do not make yourself sick buying truckload after truckload, and you are already behind the eight ball. Do not do that. Like, this is not a time to panic. This is a time to really, really focus in on, what are you doing for your customer? Why am I the best choice among all of the competitors that I compete against for my customer, including doing nothing at all? Because your biggest competitor is doing nothing at all. Mrs. Jones comes in and out of the marketplace 4 times before she makes a final purchase. That's how bad we are as an industry. And I love our industry. I'm not trying to be negative, but I am saying We need to focus on our customer. Are we doing everything to give our customer the best that we can give them? And if we're mired in negativity, we're worried about what's going to happen, something's going to happen. And it could include some foam allocation. We may not be able to get all the mattresses that we want.
Mhm.
So don't buy like a drunken sailor, buy like a smart executive that owns a furniture or a mattress store, and buy prudently, buy the right items, and buy them before the price increase. Coach me up. I've been hogging the microphone here, Alex. What say you?
Yeah, no, I think to touch on a couple of things that you just mentioned, there does seem to be a lot of unnecessary panic about this. The way that I view it is it's really just another challenge that has come up. It's unfortunate, it's going to be tough. But it's not any greater necessarily than any of the other, the tariff situations have been for some of the others in the home furnishings industry. To kind of sound the alarm now, just days after the reports have come in that some manufacturers have already put in price increases, but it's just a little early to get too bogged down by all of this. I think what you're saying is very true. Is that right now you can't do anything about it. So as a retailer, just keep focusing on your customer. Try to figure out ways that you can work with your manufacturing partners to do whatever will make you more comfortable in this situation, whether it's assurance or whether it's being real and saying, hey, we're probably going to have to raise them 15%. Just kind of staying realistic about it, I think, is important. But one of the first things that I started to think of about this is, okay, let's say that foam prices go up, let's say they increase 15%. It's a pretty large increase. Are manufacturers going to look at this and start to look at different materials to make up for the shortage of foam? In the meantime, are they going to go go back to inner springs? Are they going to release a model that is inner spring where they've had hybrids or foam for the last 10 years? It makes me wonder about the direction of the industry. What's going to happen on the product side as well, because price increases, like I said, they're a fairly normal thing when economic challenges come up. And these aren't 50% price increases. Luckily, I think the highest estimate I saw was, I think, 25%, which would be very significant. But, as the saying goes, it could be worse. So,
Yeah, I think the highest foam price increase I saw was 25, and that was double the lowest that I've seen.
yeah.
Anthony Klatt has an interesting comment. With allocations coming into effect and expected to tighten, retailers who play musical chairs may find they have nowhere to go. Yeah, Anthony, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Sleeptronic, like most responsible manufacturers, will take care of current loyal customers first. Anthony, that is so good. I am glad that you brought that up. And something that got brought up in our Win the Weekend was the fact that, what you should be doing if you're a little late on some of your bills with some of your mattress manufacturers, get those cleaned up if you can.
Yeah.
Don't make yourself sick, but if you can pay those, pay those. If you're a furniture guy or gal, make sure you get your current with your mattress vendors, because it could get to the point of triage. And Anthony said something super important. If I'm in a situation where I'm not getting enough foam, I can't ship all the orders that I'm getting. I'm going to take care of my customers who are loyal and who pay me on time. And you can't blame me. Can't blame me for doing that.
Mhm.
So thank you, Anthony. Great comment. Chris Tahaney. Hey, Chris, what's up? If traffic is down, it frees up time. How is that time being used? Oh, great question. Good to see you fellas this morning. Good to see you, Chris. Thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah.
Steve Hauk. Biggest thing to remember is that these allocations, unlike COVID, are not coming with stimulus dollars. Steve, that is great and true. People are acting like we are all operating at 100% capacity. And you know, Steve, there's the voice of reason, and that's what I was hoping that we could bring to this conversation. Yeah, you're assuming when you're getting all upset about this, you're assuming that every manufacturer you deal with is at 100% capacity. The truth is, very few are.
Mhm.
Most of us have plenty of capacity. I've heard in the past some of the larger manufacturers, you know, they have protocols in place. There are companies that have bragged in the past that they have, you know, a year's worth of chemicals and foam inventory.
Mhm.
So that's might get put to the test. And I
Yeah.
hope there are some that do, and that those protocols help spare their customers a lot of pain. You haven't seen the really big I haven't seen any real big companies come out with price increases yet. It seems like smaller companies have, some regional companies have. I've seen those.
Yeah.
For the most part, they're coming in around 8%, 8 to 10%. What are you seeing out there right now, Alex?
Yeah, I'm seeing mostly 8 to 10%. I've seen, I think, 10% so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's small right now. I think you know, they're doing their due diligence by you know, covering their backs and making sure that, you know, they're gonna be able to supply this foam, and, you know, even if it is at an increase. Um but yeah, you know, I think it's fairly low right now, and kind of to go back um to the point about, you know, if you drop all of your manufacturers who increase prices, you're going to be left with nobody. You know, and I think that's even more important today when TSI owns Mattress Firm, and there are some interesting things going on with floor placements of Tempur-Pedic, and retailers, you know, some retailers don't want it, some do want it, some aren't able to get it. You know, with that kind of uncertainty in the industry, I don't think it's smart to um, act on a whim. You know, I think it's kind of a waiting game, and I think this is something that is going to progress, especially, you know, through this month. There's going to be a lot to cover on Betting News Now about it, so stay tuned to that.
Yeah, you're going to have no shortage of articles to write on this, my friend. Is this RJ? Great
Yeah.
show as always, Alex. What stories or trends aren't getting enough attention right now? Boy, that's a great question.
That's a good question.
You know, RJ, I think Alex put his finger on it, and I didn't really unpack it probably the way I should have. Um, when foam gets out of proportion, it makes you think, okay, should we be looking at wool heavier, all natural cotton, good quality cotton, you know, A grade cotton, any and all natural fibers that could be used in in a mattress. And while it may not fully replace, could there be some additional um, products out there that currently aren't being made, kind of like a hybrid between synthetic and natural,
Mm.
leaning more towards the natural because let's face it, the reason most natural products aren't more popular than they are is they tend to get really pricey. They
Yeah.
they they
Agreed.
really do. I mean, you look at Mark's stuff, um, you know, um, they do a great job at Shiftman. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, but they do get pricey. But if foam is pricey in and of itself, it does beg the question, should we be putting more springs in? Should we be putting more natural type products? So that
Yeah.
question was to you, Alex, and I kind of jumped all over it. So I'm going to let you finish
Yeah.
answering RJ's question.
No, I think actually that kind of connects to what I was thinking about. So the materials I think is something, the different materials that manufacturers are using is a trend that we're trying to cover at Bedding News now, and it's emerging right now. But I think Posh and Lavish is a good example. They recently put out a new bed with horsehair in it. It's hand tufted, and so it has these unique aspects to it that make it stand out when when a retailer is talking to a customer about it. So I think that's one of them. I think another trend just went out of my head. I just had it. So another trend, speaking of foam increases, is I think hybrid mattresses. I think there are more hybrid mattresses out there now than there have been in a very long time. The hybrid is also very ambiguous. It can be foam and springs. It can be two different kinds of foam. It can be latex, springs, foam, any kind of combination. But I think that I'm seeing more, especially walking around the markets, everybody has a hybrid bed now that they are um, displaying, showcasing, highlighting. So I think that's a trend that's starting to show up, and I think we'll see that more in July at the Vegas market, and then certainly in January next year as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question, RJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're going to see some perhaps unique beds or even collections of beds come out of this.
Mhm.
Innovation is always spurred on by need and
Right.
reacting to situations that perhaps nobody ever wanted to deal with, but they had to. And
Mhm.
some really new cool beds and collections may come out of this whole thing. So that would be good. And to have less petrochemicals in our bed in general, I think is a good direction for our industry. So great
Yeah.
questions. Anybody who's got a question, we are 100% live. If it's April 6th where you are, we are talking live right now. So if you have questions, let us know. So
Yeah.
what's
I-
your schedule look like at market, buddy?
It is busy. Luckily, I've got Dave Perry working with me. He's going to be kind of dividing and conquering with me. But it's a really great market for me because it's not as busy as the Vegas market, which was the last one that I went to, and you just get so much more time with these people to talk about different things. Talk about trends, talk about the price increases, anything of that sort, and you don't have to get in there and rush through it, or you don't have to, you know, try to stop back by in 20 minutes because so and so is, super busy. So it's a really nice and a little bit slower pace of a market for me, and I think that lends itself to some really great conversations. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be cool to see companies like Molecule and Heritage and Symphonies showing their new product and hearing how High Point attendees react to that. That's always really fun to hear and write about. So I am looking forward to that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So glad to see Dave Perry back in action. When he retired, I was a little sad.
The first time or the third time he retired?
Yeah, I know. I think he's retired a few times. So
Yes.
stay with us, Dave. We need
Yes,
you.
please do.
So
Yeah.
the single most important thing that you've learned about market for a new retailer, maybe it's their very first time going to High Point Market, like how would you coach them to get the most out of the market and maybe something that they would never think of?
Okay. So two things. First is something that I was told when I first started going to markets, 10 years ago: wear comfortable shoes. And people will say that to you and you'll say, oh, okay, but maybe I'll just wear this pair. I'll break it in. No, wear comfortable shoes, because you will be walking a lot. And if you don't, your feet will hurt so bad. I've been there. I've done that. So that is definitely one piece of advice. I think a great way to approach High Point is to figure out where your target exhibitors are, who you want to see, and make sure that you group them according to where they are located in the city. You really don't want to run from an appointment on one end of the city to the other end. You might be late. By the time you get there, you're going to be so tired. It's going to be hard to focus. So I think that, I think that's something, give yourself some time, but also plan accordingly so that you don't have to run all over the city. That said, if you do need to run across the city, there's a really great shuttle system, as we were talking about. So you can do that. But yeah, I think, it's a really big market and it can be very intimidating. So to break it down into sections, into just smaller parts, however you do it, is going to help you navigate it much easier.
That's two great, three actually great suggestions. Comfortable shoes. First thing I thought of, shuttle system, hugely important.
Mm-hmm.
But this idea of think about your geography. And so you have core products, core manufacturers that are important to you. You need to get in front of these executives. You need to see how they're dealing with our ever-changing world, right?
Yeah.
Because you could be, with all due respect, you could be listening to the wrong group of people.
It's true.
Your friends in the industry, you might be around the wrong dudes and dudettes. And,
right.
And like, you need to get with your main manufacturers and you need to hear from the horse's mouth what's going on. But here's something that I would really encourage everybody to do. And, it's not comfortable always. I'm an introvert by nature. If I go to a beach and I'm by myself, I just kind of go off to the edge of the beach and I don't like plop myself in the middle of it. Yeah, bring an umbrella. Here's to Haiti. Boom. Bring an umbrella 100%. There will be one day of pure rain. Always.
Yes. Yep.
Doug
That's
Krinsky,
great advice.
How do buy-in groups fit into the big picture with foam increases? Does anyone know the percentage of all retailers that are in buy-in groups? Boy, that's a fascinating question, Doug. Do you have any, could you take a stab at it, Alex?
I think that's actually a good question that I could look into and answer, in an article later on. I can sort of talk to these buying groups and see what they're doing, because I'm sure they all have different approaches to it. And I'm sure that they do play a part in it. So that's a very interesting question, Doug. I will look into that. So stay tuned. We'll try to cover that within the next week or so.
Yeah. Question of the day, Doug. Really
Yeah,
good.
that was great.
Second question about the percentage of all retailers that are in buying groups. That's fascinating. I would really love to know the answer to that. And here is the question that isn't being asked right now, but it always goes through my mind. If you're in a buying group and you're a retail store owner and you're not going to their events and you're not taking advantage of everything that they offer, shame on you. You're cheating your company. And I know you're busy and I know you're probably already wearing too many hats. But ladies and gentlemen, you've got to max out. If you're paying to be part of a buying group, you got to max it out. You got to get the most value that there is. And here's something that I was going to add. And it's kind of funny because me and Doug might have been having some similar thoughts. Don't schedule a schedule, even if it's just an internal schedule that doesn't include a little bit of free time. You should be able to spend a little extra time with a manufacturer and not feel rushed. So don't like make all these like little time blocks in your schedule. Okay, I'm going to be here for 3 days and I've got to color every one of those in. No, don't do that. And I'm going to give you something really specific. If there's a really important manufacturer, I'm just gonna pull some numbers out of my hat. You've got 20 different manufacturers, but like 4 or 5 of them are really important. I mean, they're important. What they're doing, their direction, it's important to you. Make sure that you give them a little bigger time block or you have a little free time block right after them so that if it goes a little bit longer, you're having a great conversation with a super smart executive who's like giving you solid gold to help you be more profitable, to help you be a better retailer, that you are there 100%, that you're there and mining that gold, and save some extra time for you just to network. You really owe it to yourself to make friends. And listen, I understand if you have a competitor down the street and you don't necessarily want to, them following you around and you following them around. I get that.
Mhm.
But listen, there's a lot of furniture and mattress retailers in this United States of America for you. That could be your friends and they could be very similar to you, have the same challenges you have, and have figured out how to overcome some of those challenges so you don't have to go through the learning curve. Here's the thing that the best retailers do. They learn from other dealers' mistakes and they don't make nearly as many themselves. So I promised you I was going to ask you a question with 10 minutes left instead of 2 minutes left.
Sort of 2. That's all right.
Is there a question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Yes, you should ask me if there's going to be any fun parties going on in High Point.
Alex, are there going to be any fun parties in High Point at Market?
There absolutely are, yes. The News Now Media Group, which is the parent company of Bedding News Now. We also have Design, Home, Lighting, and Casual News Now. We are having a party on Saturday at the American Home Furnishings Hall of Fame building. It's a beautiful building. There will be hors d'oeuvres, drinks. Everybody's invited. We'd love to have you there, to see you. We do this. We've been doing this every year for about 3 years now, and it's been growing every time. It's just a really, really fun time to, let go a little bit during market and have some fun and network. So we'd love to see you guys there.
Awesome. That was like the perfect setup. Like we were talking about networking and
Right?
where else?
Good, Pete.
What a better place to network than at a party, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Make it a point, if you're going to market, to meet and have really good conversations with at least 5 new dealers that you've never met before. If you do that, that could be incredible for your business, because nobody understands your business as much as a fellow business owner, and networking between them is so important. Don't miss that opportunity. You already spent the money to go to High Point. Make it count. Make it count and have fun. Alex, we could talk all day, but I'm getting the umbrella sideways. But
Yes.
Chris Tahaney, that was a great recommendation. You do not want to go to a spring market without an umbrella.
Yes.
Bring an umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to happen. And the question is, will you or will you not have your umbrella with you? Alex, thanks for being here. This was a blast.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks, Pete.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, man.
Have fun and sell a million, everybody.